Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 322. Good afternoon, everybody. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. Thank you all for tuning in today as I get things all set up here. All right, so, oh man, hold on. If you heard when I started streaming that my volume was still up on my phone because I got a notification, and then my tablet, I just heard my voice on my tablet. I'm like, ugh, long morning. We had in between my first show and this show, we had to take our dog in to the vet to get checked out, and he's all good to go and stuff. But if y'all were wondering, but he's like 11 and a half years old. We had to get his ears checked and stuff. So, welcome to the JP8 Report. If you're watching and you're not already a follower of the JP8 Report, please click that follow button and then give us a thumbs up by clicking the like button. And like Padre, my hall monitor in here, retired Rob, he said, if you're watching, show us an American flag or say hello or something so we know you're there and ready to go with the JP8 Report. We broadcast on Rumble and simulcast out through Rumble to Facebook and ScrewTube and X. But Rumble is the mainstay in itself. But we like to hear y'all's input, and so if y'all put something in the live chat, that'd be great. All right. So let's get started with the JP8 Report. We got America 250 to go with. I got some breaking news. So after we do the America 250, I'll do the stuff for Dalmatian, and then we'll go into what was on the breaking news. Okay. So this is a letter from Robert Carter Nicholas to General George Washington for the 3rd of February, 1776. Let's see. Dear Sir, I have to acknowledge the receipt of your very obligating favor by Captain Matthews. Your former letter in answer to mine by Mr. Byrd I receive. Spam. And took the earliest opportunity of recommending it to our delegates to fix upon some method to defray the expenses incurred by this country in the northern colonies. This, they tell me, that they have not been able to effect, so that I am obliged to stretch my own credit in England to furnish them with bills of exchange for their immediate purposes. I particularly recommended to them to try at reimbursing you what you might be able to advance for Mr. Byrd, but I don't believe that they have had it in their power yet. Indeed, I know that they have been obliged to borrow money towards paying for arms and etc. purchased for us at Philadelphia. These inconveniences, however, I hope will soon be remedied, as the Congress hath agreed to take part at least of our troops on continental pay, which will enable us to exchange our money for that of the continent. Indeed, considering our union in other respects, it is a matter of wonder to me that our currency should want equal credit in the colonies. I shall write to Colonel Harrison and Mr. Byrd's affair and desire the favor of you to send him Mr. Byrd's account. I cannot but console with you on the loss of General Montgomery and the other brave officers and soldiers before Quebec. This will be a matter of great triumph to our enemies, but I hope not long continuance. Our sentiments on the situation of this country and measures necessary to be pursued coincide exactly, but we are much puzzled on how managed to those amphibious animals we have to deal with. The different occurrences here, you no doubt have pretty regular accounts of those, the channel of our newspapers, and the printers never fail publishing every incident of at least importance. You must heard, boy, they do that these days in the newspapers also. You must have heard of the destruction of the greater part of Norfolk by the men of war and their infernal crimes, and I expect that the remains will soon be laid in ashes. I hope your lady is safe and well with you. I beg my respectful compliments to her, Mrs. Custis, and his lady, that the Almighty may take care of you in your core, under the protection and crown your endeavors to preserve the liberties of America with success is the ardent wish of Dr. Sir, your most affectionate and most obedient servant, Robert Carter Nicholas. All right. And the one that I actually read this morning was pretty. It's pretty quick. So it was the general orders for the 3rd of February. Lieutenant Dustin of Captain Farrington's company in the 16th Regiment of Foot, tried at a general court-martial whereof Colonel Patterson was president, for cowardice on the 7th of January last, when on command with a detachment sent toward Bunker's Hill, is unanimously acquitted with honor by the court. The general approves of the proceedings and orders Lieutenant Dustin to be released from his arrest. And the general court-martial whereof Colonel Patterson was president is dissolved. Pretty quick, huh? This lieutenant, I guess they suspected he was trying to run from battle, and they tried him and found him innocent. It's pretty neat. All right. And then transition over here. This is the Dalmatian Texas Burger Group. They're smash burgers and hot dogs right here in Copperscove, Texas. They all their ingredients are homemade, including the buns. They got a really dynamic menu up here, very simple and very inexpensive, even for us modern day Texans that live down here. They're open for lunch Monday through Saturday, 11 to 2, and for dinner they're open from Tuesday to Saturday from 5:30 to 7, unless they sell out a lot. They do a lot. And they're located on the west side of Copperscove on 190 behind Bush's Chicken. All right? So that's the Dalmatian. I had one yesterday. Oh, man. It's been a week since I've had one of their burgers. I got to limit myself, guys. I just got to limit myself. So we got that. We'll go to that one right there. Okay. So I'm pre-positioned. All right. So what I had just saw when I sat down right here, 2 breaking news stories. We'll give the one that's domestic right now. All right. I got to read it from my phone because I couldn't print it because it happened too fast. The end of the government shutdown is in sight on the 4th day after Speaker Mike Johnson, Louisiana, managed to corral nearly all his House GOP lawmakers to advance the legislation. The Senate's federal funding deal survived an important hurdle late Tuesday morning, clearing a House-wide rule vote to allow lawmakers to debate the measure and set up a vote for final passage by early afternoon. It comes after a pair of House conservatives announced they would be backing off their threats to sink the legislation during the rule vote if legislation was not paired with an unrelated election integrity bill called Save America Act, which I truly support the Save Act because it will do nothing but save our election system and save our country. The rule vote is a House-wide test vote of sorts for most bills because they are considered for final passage. Like in Texas, you got to have 3 readings of the bill before it's considered law. They formally fall upon partisan lines, even if the underlying bill has bipartisan support. The same is true in this case, where at least several House Democrats are expected to support the funding bill during final passage, despite House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries strongly coming out against it. But for Johnson, it meant navigating a razor-thin 1-seat majority to get nearly all House Republicans to vote in lockstep to advance the legislation. Democrats had initially walked away from the bipartisan House deal to finish funding the federal government through the end of fiscal year 2026 on September 30th, rebelling against a bill funding the Department of Homeland Security over President Trump's handling of unrest in Minneapolis. It left roughly 78% of the government's yearly funding hanging in the balance. The DHS bill was lumped into a wider package authorizing budgets for the Department of War, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, and Education. The new deal hashed out between Senate and House and the White House would fully fund those remaining areas while only extending current funding levels for DHS through February 13th, which is a little more than a week and a half away, in order to give Democrats and Republicans time to hash out a longer-term bipartisan bill. And despite the most House Republicans coming on board, some more reluctant than others over the prospect of dealing with Democrats, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burkett of Tennessee warned that it would not have support of the bill ruling if the rule vote without the SAVE Act wasn't attached. The SAVE Act would require voter ID at the polls and create a new proof of citizenship mandate in the voter registration process, but that would require it to be sent back to the Senate for additional approval, where Senate Minority Leader Chucky Schumer said it was dead on arrival. However, Luna told reporters on Monday that she and Burkett had both changed their minds after getting assurances from the White House, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune would force a vote on the Save America Act. And she said, as of right now, the current agreement that we have, as well as discussions, we will have both a yes on the rule. There is something called a standing filibuster, which would effectively allow Senator Thune to put the voter ID on the floor of the Senate. We are hearing that is going well, and he is considering that. So we are happy about that. And then lawmakers are going to debate the underlying bill. We'll see a final vote at 1 p.m. Eastern. And right now it's 1:15 Eastern. So the House should be back in session and starting the debate so they can fund the rest of the government except for DHS. And they have until the 13th of February to knock that out. Whew. Any comments? At least we're going to have a federally funded government. But we need to get that SAVE Act into law. We have to. And we got to get rid of the cloture. And then we also, because the standing filibuster is what we need to do. Let's see, New York Post, Meet Lone New York, and yeah, no big deal. Olympics. All right. We need to get the government fully funded. There's lots at stake. Like this next article I'm about to read, that was breaking also. U.S. military shoots down Iranian drone approaching the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea. It says the U.S. military shot down an unmanned Iranian drone Tuesday after it aggressively approached a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier with unclear intent, a U.S. CENTCOM spokesman told Fox News. The USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, was transiting the Arabian Sea approximately 500 miles south of Iran's southern coast when an Iranian Shahed 139 drone unnecessarily maneuvered toward the ship. Stupid. The Iranian drone continued to fly toward the ship despite de-escalatory measures taken by U.S. forces operating in international waters. An F-35 Charlie fighter jet from the Abraham Lincoln shot down the drone in the self-defense and to protect the aircraft carrier and the personnel on board. Hawkins said no U.S. service members were injured, no equipment was damaged during the incident. Hawkins also told Fox News on Tuesday that during a separate incident hours later in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's Islamic IRGC forces, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, harassed a U.S.-flagged U.S. crewed merchant vessel lawfully transiting the international sea passage. 2 IRGC boats and an Iranian Mohijer drone approached the M/V Stena Imperative at high speeds and threatened to board and seize the tanker. The CENTCOM spokesman said guided missile destroyer USS McFall, is a DDG-74, was operating in the sea and immediately responded to the scene to escort the Stena Imperative with defensive air support from the U.S. Air Force. The situation de-escalated as a result, and the U.S.-flagged tanker is proceeding safely. The USS Abraham Lincoln is in the Middle East after President Donald Trump said last week that a massive armada is heading toward Iran. It's moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It's a larger fleet headed toward by the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln than that sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons, one that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. And this is a developing story. On a side note, does that F-35 fighter pilot, does he get to paint a drone on the side of his aircraft? Which would be cool because he earned it. It's because it's air-to-air kill. That is an aggressive maneuver toward a U.S. aircraft carrier or any type of ship, especially the one that was going through the Strait of Hormuz. We have to protect our Navy assets, and they were 500 miles offshore, nowhere even close to the 12-mile limit of international waters in the northern part of the Arabian Sea. So, yeah, we got to really watch what's going on out there. They're being provocative. I guess they think they still have a dynamic military they can challenge and defeat the United States Navy. They're about to learn a valuable lesson because they're wrong. There's nothing Iran can do to challenge the U.S. Navy. All right? Wow. Talking about breaking news before the whole show starts, right? Let's see if there's anything else on here. I don't see anything else new. Iranian gunboats attempt to stop a U.S. oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Navy intervenes. We just read about that. Okay, so, shoo-wee. What do we got here? It's already 12:20 in the morning. Hey, if you're, Rob just said the House is back in session. I was right. Thanks, Rob. I really appreciate that. If y'all are listening and y'all heard about all these stories that we were just reading about, give us an American flag in the chat, right? So, before we really get deep down in details of what's going on, just want to let you know on the mornings, instead of doing the pure JP8 report, we also are doing the JP's morning brief, and it's just a quick rundown, not really entirely too in depth. And if we got like stories left over from the day, I'll go over them at that time and stuff. But it's only 30 minutes, and I raid over into either events, or most of the time I raid into Before the Noise, because I like listening to Chad Prather also. But so we have a placard, a little thumbnail that we're developing. My daughter is trying to do a better one. So in probably the next few days, we're going to have that. But what I'm asking is, like, if y'all see JP's morning brief on the JPA report, give it a watch. It's only 30 minutes. I'm considering not doing the America 250 in that one and just keep it with the JP8 report, so I can concentrate on just straight news in that one. Let me know if y'all agree with that. Even you, Rob, tell me what you think of that idea. All right. So the next thing is that was breaking news that it was confirmed a few just about an hour ago that Bill and Hillary Clinton both agreed that they will testify before the House Oversight Committee, before James Comer from Kentucky, about the Epstein files. And I was listening to another podcaster earlier, and then they bring up a good argument. It was said that they only agreed to it after all the Epstein files were pushed out on, I think it was Friday, and they had over the weekend all this stuff spilled out, and then nothing really incriminating came out against Bill Clinton, right? So that's why they said, well, you know what? Since we're not implicated, let's just go ahead and get it over with, because there's not much that can happen here, right? We'll see, because I'm not the one asking questions, because I would come up with some pretty good questions to ask, but I'm not going to bring that up here. I'll leave that to the professionals that make $176,000 a year. All right. So, Dan Bongino, like I showed you this morning, I'm wearing one of his shirts from the Field of Honor that he had from a couple years ago. He was talking to us this morning about a lot of election stuff, about midterms and how important it is to get out there and vote during the midterms. He was showing some graphs on projected electoral vote that's upcoming in the next few years and stuff. But we got to play the near game right now and secure these seats, because if the Democrats get in power, and I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes about Virginia. Virginia just went over on the deep end. I got it written down here, the communist state of Virginia. We used to joke about California, but it happened in the Virginia. I do not know what Kool-Aid they drank, but they drank some pretty potent Kool-Aid, because they are not They are not the Virginians that we know about. Uh, but he was talking about the 224,000 that watched the initial relaunch of the Dan Bongino show yesterday, and how many people watched the video on demand? I have it on here. Hold on just a second. 2.7 million total views of his relaunch from yesterday, and today he was talking about that they had over 114,000 people that were continuously watching the podcast today. Not guys that drop in and then drop out. They just kept the show totally on. If you want to know real quick, I'll show you. Well, I can't show you. Let's see. Where is... Give me a second here. I gotta find them first. I'll go old-fashioned way. There we go. Okay, so for the day, he's already up to 787,000 total views for the day's show. Unbelievable, huh? That's a lot. Let me get back to mine. There we go. Okay, so I'm back. Now back to the real JP8 report. All right, so the next is Todd Blanche was reporting that there's a massive underground fraud network allegedly behind the Minneapolis anti-ICE push, because you got to have money to fund these protests. I was watching Haley Carnea just a little while ago, and she was showing this video. I think it was a YouTube video. Some stupid civilian person in Minneapolis was operating a TCP, a traffic control point, right, in the middle of Minneapolis, and he wasn't a police officer. And he had someone unroll the window and said, "We're just checking to see if your license plate identifies with any of our registered ICE license plates, so we can allow you to come into our neighborhood." Whoa. Like this journalist was saying, like, where are the police? Shouldn't they be doing this? I'm telling you, if that happens down here, someone's going to pull a weapon, because they're going to think they're about to get carjacked. And with the crown, with the crown doctrine, we got to protect our property and our lives. And you have someone that's acting like a police officer, and they're not a police officer, and that just pops red star clusters all over the place. The guy's lucky he's up there, not down there, because he wouldn't have lasted very long at all. But yeah, I saw that on Haley this morning. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says federal investigators are uncovering a massive underground fraud network in Minneapolis that he suggested helped fuel a sudden coordinated push to drive ICE out of the city. We had a massive fraud going on through all through Minneapolis, all through Minnesota, and suddenly it turned. It turned almost on a dime, and it suddenly was all about ICE and all about getting ICE out, and how horrible ICE was doing. Blanche said Monday on the Ingram Angle. All right, we had very strong pushback when we raised our hands and said stop. So yes, we have multiple investigations going on. Blanche also pointed out financial dimensions of the case, noting that investigators are making progress in tracing funding streams connected to the alleged network. Blanche said unraveling those money trails is a priority for federal law enforcement, though he did not specifically name individuals or sources. All right. It is not something we're going to do overnight, he said, but is not just a coincidence that these massive numbers of protesters and rioters and agitators are showing up at the same time and are pushing back on what we call a profit center for fraudsters. Blanche's comments come before heightened tensions between ICE and the public in the Twin Cities as immigration and customs enforcement draw on public protest, backlash, and intensified scrutiny. All right. What do y'all think about that, huh? So I bet it goes back to George Soros. And there was another one I was reading that's funding a lot of this stuff. It's guys from China and connected to the CCP, and he's floating a lot of funding in this itself. All right, so we got that done. It's called RICO, organized crime. And this is more serious right here. In this, so it happened at Speedway gas station. A string of recent incidents which ICE agents and Department of Homeland Security leadership have been refused service at corporate gas stations and hotel chains have raised questions on whether private businesses can lawfully deny service to federal law enforcement officers. The incidents, including ICE agents who were turned away from hotels and a Border Patrol commander being denied service at a gas station, have prompted debate over whether such refusals amount to lawful private discretion or illegal discrimination against federal law enforcement carrying out official duties. I say it's discrimination. I told my wife it was discrimination when I first saw this. The most recent flashpoint unfolded at a Speedway gas station, whose video captured by conservative activist Cam Higbee showed U.S. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino being followed out of the store by a man identifying himself as a manager. Bovino himself was silent on the matter when asked by Higbee among the crowd outside the Speedway, while Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said similar situations had transpired over several different gas stations where agitators stalked agents. When Higbee asked the man why he refused Bovino's service, he replied, "Because I wanted to. I don't support ICE, and nobody here does." The man remained silent when asked if he thought it was legal to deny service to federal agents based on their role, while the employee said it could be heard saying, "If it's illegal, I personally don't care." That's quote, unquote. I'd put handcuffs on him and escort him away. Fox News reached out to Speedway and its parent company, 7-Eleven, for a response. And an employee who picked up the corporate phone said he would forward this reporter's message to the proper department, but no comment was returned. And the incident follows other situations, including the case in which a Hampton Inn branded hotel in Lake. Okay, we know about that. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was also denied entry into a building in Chicago suburb to use the restroom. Wow. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is unbelievable. This is definitely illegal. You cannot deny, man. It is shameful conduct to try to penalize men and women who are going out day in and day out, seeking to enforce federal law, seeking to penalize them, and refusing to provide them services, said Smith, currently a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. You know, can you imagine if you're a regular police officer and all these police stations, all these gas stations, like, well, we're not going to allow you to use the bathroom or buy gas here. What do you do in that instance? Walk? It's a discrimination case, and I hope Speedway does something about it. I will be looking for a response from these guys about it, because I can't see 7-Eleven allowing something like that to transpire at all. 7-Eleven is known to be a veteran-owned franchise system. That I really hope they do something about this. All right, let me mark it off. Let's see. I'm getting down there. What are we? We're at 12:36. All right. So Trump urges Republicans to nationalize voting. This deals with the SAVE Act. We really, really, really need that in our country. So the president says he urged Republicans to take over and nationalize voting on Monday. This is the day, okay. Trump made the comments during an interview with former Deputy Director Dan Bongino yesterday. Yep, he did say that. Under the Constitution, states set the rules for federal and state elections, establishing times, places, and manner of holding elections for the House of Representatives and the Senate. The Republicans should say, we want to take over, Trump told Bongino, we should take over the voting, at least in at least many 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. Democratic Senate primary rocked after candidate accused of racial remark. Oh yeah, I'm going to get to that. I printed that out too. That applies right here in Texas. Okay, so White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson later clarified Trump's comments in the ABC News. She argued Trump was expressing his desire to have the U.S. to have free and fair elections. Yes, that is true. President Trump cares deeply about the safety and security of the elections. That's why he's urged Congress to pass the SAVE Act, which is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, John Thune is toast, right? He is totally gone. We need verification that people are U.S. citizens. We need national voter ID, flat out. And we need to eliminate mail-in balloting and ballot harvesting. And my personal favorite, ranked choice voting. Man, what is that one? Hold on just a second, people. Let's see. Nope. Okay, that's the other one. All right. I keep getting hammered with stuff. Let me... Oh, there's going to be a press conference in a little while about Savannah Guthrie's mom's disappearance. I mean, that's not national news law. I usually cover on there, but that is, wow, that is crazy. So Pedro says House voting 15-minute vote. Yep, that's true. Okay, so next. From the communist state of Virginia. Isn't that where you're from, Pedro? Come on, Rob, answer up. You can admit it. You're from Virginia, man. A new year typically brings growth and opportunities, but not in Virginia. Since last November, the winds of the the communist state, have been carried a heavy weight. Elections have consequences, and just a few days, Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger's reign, Virginians are reaping the fruit of their ballot box decisions. This is no longer a warning. Warning, Will Robinson, warning. Now that Republican Governor Jen Youngkin's watch has ended, the progress is under attack. In just weeks, a newly emboldened Democrat majority has moved to drain the budget surplus by expanding costly social programs, by imposing unnecessary taxes on middle and lower class Virginians. Virginians are experiencing a swift, calculated wave of anti-business, anti-family, and un-American policies that will irreparably decimate everything that makes Virginia great. Didn't it say Virginians for lovers? Not no more. We Virginians are spoiled under Youngkin's administration. Over the past 4 years, Youngkin's watchful eye prevented the Democrat majority in the Virginia legislature from leading the Commonwealth down a destructive path. They got a picture of an evil-looking Abigail Spanberger. Let's see if I can put this in the camera. Look at that evil picture of her. Thanks to his leadership, Virginia is stronger than ever. Our state has experienced record revenues, receiving I lost it. Thanks to his leadership, Virginia is stronger than ever. Our state is experiencing record revenues, record tax relief, record investment. Virginia's general revenue has grown 5.2% in the last year, with $9 billion in tax relief, $156 billion in capital investments, and $2.7 billion budget surplus. Youngkin left Virginia with a better than he found it, bringing our state to new heights. But the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Now that Youngkin's watch has ended, that progress is under attack. In just weeks, a newly emboldened Democrat majority has moved to drain the budget surplus by expanding costly social programs while imposing unnecessary tax hikes on middle and lower class Virginians. These policies only will make life less affordable while creating new barriers for entry for businesses. What was that one? Okay. I need to speed up some. Okay. So these policies will only make life less affordable while creating new barriers for entry business, force Virginians to absorb the rising cost of living or leave the Commonwealth behind. That is what will happen. Virginia will, over the course of the next 4 years, will lose probably an additional congressional seat because so many people will move out. Democrats are advancing sweeping tax agenda that will make everyday life more expensive for working Virginians. For Virginia Democrats, affordability means imposing new taxes on dog grooming, counseling, vehicle and home repairs, dry cleaning, hosting events, and even owning electric leaf blowers and landscaping equipment. Their proposals will also authorize new local sales taxes and impose a delivery tax on services like Amazon, Uber Eats, FedEx, UPS, raising costs for families while offering nothing but a larger, most intrusive government. While families are working day and night to make ends meet, Virginia Democrats are rewarding themselves. Their budget proposal includes an average 209% pay raise. Are you out of your good-for-nothing mind? A 200% pay raise for state legislators? Insulating politicians from economic reality as the repeal of Virginia's right to work law and mandate a $15 minimum wage. Together, these policies will drive up labor costs. Watch this. Hey, Google, how much does a Virginia legislator earn yearly? So, Virginia state senators earn $18,000 a year, while members of the House of Delegates earn $17,640 a year. So they want to push that up to about $35,000, $36,000 for each person. You know, here in Texas, you can't make more than $6,000 a year as a legislator, whether it be Senate or House. That is ridiculous. And then, but wait, there's more. They get $237 a day during the legislative session for lodging and meals. In Texas, I think that's $180. Meeting pay, $300 to $400 per day for official meetings held outside the outside the regular session, and they get $1,250 a month per month for district office expenses. Wow. Huh. Talking about a waste, man. At the same time, Democrats are pursuing aggressive assault on Virginia's Second Amendment rights. Their bill would impose an unprecedented tax on firearms and ammunition, layered with burdensome storage mandates, and enact sweeping bans on both open and concealed carry in wide swaths of the Commonwealth. These policies will not deter criminals. They will make it harder for law-abiding Virginians to protect themselves and their families. Their transgressions don't stop there. Virginia Democrats are actively working to rewrite the Virginia's Constitution. Both Virginia and state House of Delegates, despite Republicans' ferocious opposition, voted to approve constitutional amendments that allow abortion on demand up to the birth and gerrymanders Virginia's congressional districts to cheat their way to the Democrat dominance for years to come. Well, that last one was permanently banned in the court just last week. Despite recent defeats in lower courts, Virginia Democrats vowed to continue disregarding procedural restraints in pursuit to lower the expense of Virginia's values. Wow. I'm telling you, you get what you deserve, people. That's why we fight here in Texas for every single Republican vote we can get. That's why over the last several weeks, I've been arguing left and right. Don't argue with each other in the Republican primaries. You put your best resume forward and you get elected. And then if you don't make it through the primary, you endorse and support the winner of the primary itself, right? If not, you're going to end up with junk like that. Now, what Bryce did not put in here is they're trying to enact legislation in Virginia to limit the amount of ammunition you can carry in a magazine and not implement a non-complying but conforming grandfather clause. They'd say no matter if you already have it, you won't be able to keep it. This is how people bury their firearms. or they end up using it to achieve their rightful place. Because the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution has no limits on the type of firearms and ammunition and carrying capacity you can have in it. So, I'll see you in court, right? You get what you vote for, man. Well, while we're at that, where is it? Let's go to the other side. Where we're at 12:50. We're doing good. All right. All right. So Virginia has gone to the birds, not for lovers. You're exactly right. Did you hear me say that a while ago, man? Hey, Rob, I'm talking to you. But, Padre. Yeah, I said Virginia's for lovers. Not. So we go on to the other side of the country, 3,000 miles away to California. And I believe that's where Padre was born at. So he's got the best of both worlds, right, Rob? How is it that Californians pay the highest taxes in the country but get the worst results? Highest gas tax in America, but we have the worst roads. Highest income tax and the highest unemployment rate of any state. The nation's highest sales tax along America's highest poverty rate. 16 years of Democrat one-party rule have seen an explosion of bloated bureaucratic government in Sacramento. Now it's dawning on more and more Californians that there's a direct connection. We suffer the worst results because we have the highest taxes, and it keeps getting worse. Look at the Democrats' latest cruel ploy to punish regular working people, a new mileage tax that will track you everywhere you drive your car or truck and then charge you for it. It would cost drivers more than $1,000 a year, and that's before we even get to the creepy surveillance part of this outrageous scheme. On top of all the other hidden taxes and fees drivers have to pay, this is ridiculous. From the gas tax to vehicle registration, in most other states, it costs less than $100 to renew your registration each year. In Texas, it's $74, okay? In California, it can be hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. The punishing level of taxation in California is driving out the very people and businesses we need to generate the wealth on which a successful economy and society depend. It becomes so bad that the taxes don't even have to be enacted for them to have massively destructive effect. Just look at the Democrats' insane scheme for a so-called billionaire tax, a reality, a totally un-American, unconstitutional asset seizure. Merely the threat of it, according to the host of the influential tech and politics podcast, All In, has driven $1 trillion of wealth out of the state in recent weeks. Billions of dollars in tax revenue have been lost as legendary California entrepreneurs like Google founder Larry Page and Sergey Brin flee to less hostile locations. But if punitive taxes aren't making life better for Californians, where is all our money going? Good question. They're going to take the less we seem to get. Well, we are starting to find out. In 2024, the California State Auditor identified $24 billion of homeless spending that couldn't be accounted for. Homelessness continued to rise during the time this money was spent. Now, prosecutions led by Bill Ellison, the first U.S. attorney for the Central District of California are revealing that some of the money wasn't spent to fight homelessness, it was stolen by fraudsters. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz has recently in California to highlight $1.3 billion in illegal spent on healthcare and undocumented immigrants, as well as widespread fraud in the hospice care system. You know, people in the end stage of life being ripped off. But isn't it outrageous that it's taken federal action to bring some accountability for all this? Where's Gavin Newsom? Newsom's my edition. Too busy trolling President Trump on social media and making a fool of himself in Davos. Where is the California Attorney General Bob Bonta? Too busy filing endless nuisance lawsuits against the Trump administration, in which he loses all the time. It should be our readers. It should be our leaders here in California who protect taxpayers by finding and stopping fraud. They should be careful stewards of our money, making sure that they take as little from us as possible and spending it wisely and effectively. Instead, we have a shameful culture of corruption and neglect. And this is from Steve Hilton. I'm running for governor to put an end to all this. I will veto the extortion mileage tax scheme if it ever passed a Democrat-dominated legislature. And then he also said, last week, I announced my plan to cap vehicle registration to the basic $71. Wow, that's less than Texas. I'm not even waiting until I'm elected. This week I announced the establishment of DOGE, the California Department of Government Efficiency, a stellar team of highly qualified volunteers drawn from the world of finance, law enforcement, and government reform, and getting to work at identifying fraud as well as specific steps to cut it out of our state government down to size. And he's on CaliFraud.com. Wow. You know, y'all got problems in Virginia and the communist Commonwealth of Virginia and the communist state of California, both of which Padre is from. I'm hacking on you, Rob. I'm sorry about that, but you earned it. You're from California and Virginia. Sorry about that. So that she is not that she will compete in the Olympics, and that she even has a torn ACL. So whether you like her or not, she's representing the United States. So please be with her, help her out. Also, the president is going to close the Trump Kennedy Center for 2 years after the 4th of July for major renovations. So if you want to see a play or a ballet or whatever they do at the Trump Kennedy Center, you got until July 4th, and after that it's going to close. Let me go ahead and put that one over there. I'll get that one day. I'm not even get to all my stuff here. This is crazy. Here in Texas, it was just crossing the wire just a few minutes ago. Oh, well. Democrat primary erupts after candidate accused of mediocre black man remark. They're talking about James Tellerico. He is running against Jasmine Crockett for the Democrat nomination for the U.S. Senate in Texas. So what I'm getting out of this, okay, is that, and I know I'm running over an hour. I don't care. I can't do Rumble Premium right now. Who cares? We're just going to have some fun doing this. We'll be done in about 5 or so minutes. In the blockbuster Senate race in Texas, where the combustible GOP primary has been grabbing most of the headlines. It is the Democratic showdown that has been sweeping up political firestorm. State Representative James Tellerico, one of the two major Democrats running for the Patriot Party's nomination in the red-leaning state, was accused over the weekend by an influencer of calling his former rival a mediocre black man. Tellerico responded by saying the claim was a mischaracterization of a private conversation. The accusation comes with 1 month until the primary day, which is March 3rd, with Tellerico facing off against Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a progressive firebrand and rising Democratic star, and no, she's not, with the large social media following who is known as a vocal critic of President Donald Trump. Morgan Thompson, the influencer who goes by the username MorgaTT on TikTok, in a social media post Sunday accused Tellerico of saying in a private conversation with her last month that he had signed up to run against a mediocre black man and not a formidable, intelligent black woman. Colin Aldred? Really? I don't think he's a mediocre guy. He should have stayed in that primary. Tellerico is allegedly referring to Colin Aldred, the 2024 Democrat Senate nominee who was making his second straight run this cycle until ending his campaign just before Crockett announced her candidacy. Both Aldred and Crockett are black, no duh. And Tellerico is white, no duh. Pushing back against Thompson's characterization of the conversation, Tellerico said in a statement, "In my praise of Congresswoman Crockett, I describe Congressman Aldred's method of campaigning as mediocre, but his life and service are not. I would never attack him on the basis of his race." So all it is Miss Thompson throwing fuel on the fire and trying to get her choice as electable as possible, throwing dirt on him. All right. So I'm not going to add too much more and make it too much more because Jasmine Crockett needs to go away. And hopefully when she gets beat by either Wesley Hunt or Ken Paxton or John Cornyn, she'll just go away back to Missouri because we don't want her here in Texas. And I'm sure Eric Johnson doesn't want her in Dallas either. All right. So here in Killeen, yesterday was the last day of filing for city council. And you wonder why it's so hard to do anything in the city council of Killeen. Now you know. 3 members, the mayor, she's term limited, Debbie Nash King. You had 3, voting razor thin, still tallying. Okay. Padre's sending me a text message instead of putting it up on the chat. So you have 3 men that filed for mayor. So they have to resign to run. So you have Rico Adams, he's a staunch Obama supporter, Democrat. And then you have Joseph Solomon, that he is running for mayor of Killeen. And you have Jose Seguero, he's running. So you have 3 vacancies on the city council. So you barely have a 4-seat city council with the mayor. That's all. Because all 3 of these guys have to resign to run. And they're trying to do a whoopsie-doopsie over on the people of Killeen by trying to illegally appoint a replacement without having to go to a special election for all 3. All right? Just so you know, right? So I'm not even. So tomorrow morning, I'm pretty much. Thank you. I'm pretty much going to do Texas scorecard because I got a number of races I want to talk about. I think I'm gonna save that. So, in we have here in Texas. This is our Texas voting guide that's going on. Yesterday was the final day for the register to vote. Early vote starts on the 17th and 27th. Right, February 20th is the last day to vote by mail. Apply to vote by mail. March 3rd is the primary, and then look, the primary is May 26th. So if you don't make it through the primary to the runoff, May 26th, 2.5 months from now, is the next election. All right? I'm going to keep this one on there for a while. And then our next thing is the Lincoln Reagan dinner. There's the Lincoln Reagan dinner. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is our speaker. It's on the 21st of February. Inside of the window for early vote, it's from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Texas Station Event Center. You can get your tickets by the QR code, or in my show notes I have the link to it, or you can go on Facebook to the Coryell County Republican Party, and they have a link on it also. The tickets are $60 a person or $100 a couple, or you can get tables of 6 also. All right? So that's that. Go back to me. All right. So, and then we have here in Coryell County on the 7th, we have a forum at Trinity Worship Center, 1802 Martin Luther King at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And there will be a voter's registration table there. And then Monday evening at 6 in Gatesville at the Gatesville Civic Center at 6 p.m. We'll have another forum, and we're also going to have a voter's registration table there also. All right? So where are we at? We're sitting at 1:07 p.m. Central Time. So we got through most of this except for the stuff for local Texas stuff. I will get to that in the morning. So, no chats except for me and Padre. And so take a look at the news. Check on that one about Miss Guthrie's mom. I have no idea how that's going because I've been doing the podcast. And then look at that voting and stuff that's going on with what do you call it? With the House of Representatives. It shows I'm not online. Well, let me refresh. Hey, I'm back. Okay, good. I must have dropped off there for a second and I had to refresh it. Okay, I'm back. All right. Let's see. I don't have enough people to do an ad read. Okay, that's all right. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get enough people online for it. So I'm going to end the show on a good note. Let's just have some fun today. There's a city council meeting here in Copper's Cove tonight. I'm going to go. And I'm trying to put together my new grill I got the other day. We got good weather, non-freezing weather here in Copper's Cove. All right, so I hope everybody has a great afternoon. Thank you very much for tuning in to the JP8 report. I'll see you all tomorrow morning in JP's morning brief at 6:30 Central. Please give me a look-see. All right. So everybody have a great day. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.